start off by reading Isaiah 50:10. It says, "Who among you fears the Lord and obeys the voice of his servant? Let him who walks in darkness and has no light trust in the name of the Lord and rely on his God." It took a lot of faith and obedience for me to come out here. Brian mentioned I was the oldest student, and I had to leave a full-time job and left the place that I'd lived for a few years, had a lot of ministry in my home, really loved the place that I was at, and it was a blessing to be there. And just a lot of things I had to let go of, and it was difficult, but I felt the Lord call me. And I really thought that part of what he was doing was going to be to teach me more and supplement my faith, But what he showed me first off was that he needed to reshape and remold that faith. I'd like to call that faith middle-class faith, I think. I had a place about 2 years ago where I was truly broken and contrite before the Lord, and it was an amazing time in my life. James 1, speaks about blessed is the man who endures, and suffers these trials because there's such a purpose, and I can really speak about that in my life. But anyway, I kind of felt like I already had that place in my life, that time where I was broken down and God was already building me up. I was very involved with a lot of things back home. And the first big thing he showed me about 3 or 4 weeks in here, I was really struggling and questioning what I was doing out here the first month. And he showed me that middle-class faith, I had my ministry, I had, my job, I had everything rolling, and it was a little easier to trust in him in that sense. And coming out here, he showed me that it's about what is it like, what does it look like for you when everything is taken away, when you do not know what tomorrow brings, what the night ahead of you has in store. And today he made me think of David. So many people today speak of King David, and he's a blessed man. I think a lot of middle-class Americans would probably relate to King David. He had a lot of good things, and he lived a good life later on. But the Lord reminded me that, think about David fleeing for years, running from King Saul in the caves and stuff. And that's where God truly molded that man's character and his faith. And he brought me to that place where, I questioned the authority here and in a lot of things, and he showed me that what it really means to trust in him and rely on him in that way. So I thought he was coming here to give me these other things to add to my faith. But little did I know the first thing he was going to do was really reshape that faith a little bit. Which brings me to the next scripture I'd like to share. 2 Peter chapter 1, 3 through 11 says, "His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence, by which he has granted to us his precious and very great promises, so that through them you may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped from the corruption that is in the world because of sinful desire. For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, virtue with knowledge, knowledge with self-control, self-control with steadfastness, steadfastness with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and that brotherly affection with love." And, I wasn't truly ready to be built in those areas until he did that work in the faith department. And I'm really thankful for that. And what I think of is many of you here tonight may be in this boat, or may have been in this boat, where this is kind of what your life and your ministry and your relationship with God looks like. This is you, this is the vessel, and this is the Lord and His Spirit, and we come to Him, and He is faithful, and we spend that time to fill us with His goodness and His love and His purpose. And then we go out, and we do our ministry, and we pour out our lives and the lives of others around us, and do the things that He's called us to do, and then we're left empty again. And we're kind of wondering why we feel the way we feel after we just do all these good things and serve the Lord and, insert your situation. So we go back and He fills us again. And maybe we don't spend a lot of time, so we're about there. And then we go out and serve and pour out into the lives of the people around us, left empty again. brings me to the next scripture I'd like to share with you, which is John 7:37 and 38. On the last day of the feast, the great day, Jesus stood up and he cried out, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water." And I don't think rivers have to worry about running dry and going back to the ocean to be refilled, you know. And so the Lord has just shown me that what it's really about is just staying in that place, practicing the presence of God continually, and resting in Him, and allowing Him to fill me. And as He fills me, my life pours out into the life of everyone around me, but yet I stay full. And that is the key for me and for, I think, all of us. And I believe that the main source of that continuing outpour, a little light on the liquid, sorry, should have bought more. I believe the main flow is worship. We were created to worship. God didn't need a single one of us. In one of the Tozer books I read in the past, Tozer states, "Think of the sun in the sky, and if every man on earth were to be blinded tomorrow morning, it wouldn't change the sun, or the fact that the sun shines down on us." And that's God. He doesn't need us. Nothing we do changes His character. But yet He's so awesome and faithful to use us and work in and through us. So with that being said, I'd like to share a song. It's from a guy from Canada who's now part of our fellowship back in St. Pete Calvary. And I'm going to share that. And then, actually, you know what? Let me share this first. Yeah, I'm going to share this first, and then I'll do the song. And I have one thing afterwards to close it up. Revelation 4:10 and 11. It says, "The 24 elders fall down before Him that sat on the throne, and worship Him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O God, to receive glory and honor and power, for Thou hast created all things, and for Thy pleasure they are and were created." And Tozer writes about this. He's my favorite author, I think. This is my third book of his I'm reading, and I love his stuff. It's so tangible. He takes things that seem like mist, and he makes them materialize. He says, "A worshiper can work with eternal quality in his work, but a worker who does not worship is only piling up wood, hay, and stubble for the time when God sets the world on fire. I fear that there are many professing Christians who do not want to hear such statements about their busy schedule. But it is the truth. God is trying to call us back to that for which He created us, to worship Him and to enjoy Him forever. It is then, out of our deep worship, that we do His work.